Hello, everybody, and welcome to the next exciting installment of the Paid in Green Peppers podcast. I am one of your amazing hosts, Mr. Patrick Hite. Sitting next to me is the always elusive, somewhat shady, but always mellow fellow, Mr.
Shane Aden.
That's right, Shane Aden, everybody.
Mellow.
Yeah, you got to know him to know what I mean by that. And mellow.
Medicated, I might be mellow.
He's mellow when he's locked in his room with the funny jacket on. He's quite mellow at that point. So anyway, today we're going to be reviewing I don't know how famous it is. If you're a fan of the actor Paul Naschy, you'll know what this film is. It's called Assignment
And you know, Paul Naschy
Terror.
is like an international star. I mean, up there with Dirk Cumberbatch or Cumbersnitch or whatever his name is, and everybody knows who he is. And
Burt Cumberbund, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right. And Sean Connery, I mean, these people, legendary.
Yeah.
Paul Naschy. What the
Paul Naschy. Paul Naschy.
Who's Paul Naschy?
My worst.
Who was he?
Paul Naschy. Did you see this film?
I saw the film. I'm trying to forget it already, but what?
Let me give you a little background.
No, who did he play?
He actually played the werewolf, Waldemar Daninsky.
Oh, okay. So he's the custodian.
He kind of came off that way in this particular film.
The man looks like a mook from New Jersey that is the building super for some tenement slum in Lower Bronx. You know, he's got a white T-shirt. You can see that he used to work out, but, you know, the age and that extra 20 beers he has a night is catching up to him. And his hairline is no longer receding. It is in full retreat. He has one of the worst comb-overs and /or toupes this side of William Shatner. I mean, the top part of his head is black, and the forehead starts somewhere like 20 inches back from his eyebrow. And the side of his... The sideburns are gray. Now, either he's going gray from the stress of being the international supermodel, or that's just the color of his hair. And the taupe, with the 20-cent budget they had for costuming, they couldn't quite find something to match the particular style of gray.
Well,
but as you said, Paul Naschy.
Yeah, Paul Naschy, international. Now that you put it that way, it doesn't sound quite so amazing. But anyway, I'm going to get back on my excited bandwagon because I am actually a huge Paul Naschy fan.
You're his mom.
Yeah, you know, I should start a fan club with buttons and the whole 9 yards. Let me give you a little background on Paul Naschy.
You won't make any money, dude.
It'll be a free fan club. I don't know however that works.
You want a fan club? Get a fan, put them on a club, and hit yourself with it. That's just
that would be probably more prosperous,
more enjoyable for me.
So anyway.
Where were we?
Give you a little background about...
This movie. What is the movie? You didn't even tell me what the movie was.
Yeah, Assignment Terror. I did say that. Let me give you... First of all, the movie is called Assignment Terror from 1970, also known as Los Monstruos del Terror or Monster of Terror. Dracula vs. Frankenstein, which is not to be confused with the Al Adamson movie called Dracula vs. Frankenstein, or the Jess Franco movie, also known as Dracula vs. Frankenstein. It's also known as Reincarnator, and the original working title was The Man Who Came from Umo, or Umu, I think is actually how they pronounced it in the film. And
the one time they mentioned it.
Yeah, you know, the whole thing. But anyway, this movie was written by Jacinto Molina, which is actually Paul Naschy. So he actually scripted the film. And you might find this interesting.
Which explains this huge role in this.
He scripted it. He played the werewolf, Waldemar Daninsky, which, for you people who don't know...
And that would be everybody except for this fool.
Paul Naschy is. This is actually the third film where Waldemar Daninsky, as the werewolf, appears. Now, Paul Naschy has played this character 12 times on screen. He's always named Waldemar Daninsky.
What you're saying is that he's not the poor man's Lon Chaney. He is the destitute third world countryman's.
That's interesting that you should compare him to Chaney, because he has actually been referred to as the Lon Chaney of Spain.
Spain. And you wonder why Catalina was seceding. Okay.
Now, Naschy has actually played... he's played the Mummy, he's played Dracula, he's played the Wolfman, as I said, 12 times on screen.
What a range.
And the thing is, none of these werewolf films are officially connected. Like, many of them have different origin stories and things, but he's always named Waldemar Daninsky.
Right, because that's a nice Spanish name.
Right, exactly. I don't know where that exactly came from.
Well, it came from Jersey. He's the Polish super that sweeps up the vomit from the crack whores. I wouldn't...
From the crack whores. Yeah, that's kind of what...
Ask me what I thought about this movie.
I think we've already know the first 5 minutes of the review. I think we know what you know.
You need to ask me what I thought about this movie.
I'll give you one more fact, and then I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to ask you what you thought of Assignment Terror. One more fact about this film is it is loosely considered...
It's ruined our friendship.
Well, that goes without saying. No, it's loosely considered a follow-up to the film that
if you're going to torture me like this, you should at least bring leather, and I should have some sort of get mask on.
Riding crop.
I'm not sure. That's some sort of... Don't know why I submit to this crap.
It just got weird, folks. It just got weird.
It just got weird. You haven't watched this movie if it just got weird.
No, he's got a point. He's got a point.
What were you saying before I so rudely interrupted?
That never happens. That's why we're here. You're the yin to my yang, or the yang to my yin, or whatever you want to call it. However you want to look at it. You know.
I'm the bit irrational person to your horrible movies.
To my fanboy-ishness.
Sure.
Which makes me super adorable. Okay, anyway, this film is considered to be a possible follow-up to the film Naschy made in '68 called Mark of the Wolfman.
I thought it was just Mark. Like Mark.
No. Mark of the Wolfman. Okay, what? Because of the fact that he was shot at the end.
The dramatic pause.
Well, you got to build tension. You got to build
This was the last movie he was named Mark. Of the Wolfman. What is this guy? Exactly. Christopher Walken.
We're building tension. We're building excitement.
I don't need you to build tension.
Mark of the Wolfman was from '68. This is '70. At the end of Mark of the Wolfman, he dies. He's shot with a silver bullet, blah, blah, blah. They exhume the body, essentially, in this film, remove the bullet, to use the werewolf in their master plan. But anyway, what did you think of this film, Shane Aden?
Well... Compared to the last couple films you've subjected me to, it's a much better film. However, that's also like saying cow poop tastes better than dog poop. There ain't enough ranch dressing in the world, my friend, to make this go down easy.
So you hate ranch dressing?
I hate ranch dressing, and I kind of hate cow poop too. Yeah, this was just... there's so many issues on this movie.
But this film had elements of... it was science fiction, but horror, but a little bit of detective thrown in there.
No, it was. We live outside the United States, and trademarks mean nothing to us, and so we're just going to take the Universal Monster Studio. We're going to mention the Golem, and never bring it up again.
That's an interesting point, which I will comment on in a moment.
And then, the budget. Budget is always the budget.
They did mention the Golem in this film, and I know we haven't really started explaining anything yet.
There's no reason to
essentially, do you want to explain the plot of this film?
Yeah. Aliens come down, take dead bodies, a la Plan 9 from outer space, take over. They're going to use the quote-unquote superstitions, but they're not superstitions because they're real against the human race, to destroy the human race so they can take our planet. God forbid they into some sort of trade agreement and we can all just live together. Democrats. Anyway. And then they bring up...
That would have been a short film if it was that easy, though.
Well, you've obviously never done bureaucracy, so it takes forever. They bring in a vampire, a mummy, a bald werewolf, and well, it's not even Frankenstein. What is the Frankenbaloney? What is it?
Ferencastellan.
Sure,
not Frankenstein.
Because that's trademark.
The Ferencastellan monster.
Yeah,
the mummy is Tautet.
Yeah.
And the Dracula knockoff is Count Janos de Mielhoff. If I'm pronouncing that correctly, which I'm most assuredly not.
Sure.
But anyway, that's
And then
kind of...
and the mook from New Jersey as the werewolf.
And, of course, Paul Naschy, everybody's hero as the werewolf
as
Wolfgang
these building supers come werewolf.
He could have... Maybe it's the outfit. He did have a janitorial look about him.
You put the little sleeveless denim vest on him, and he's Schneider from One Day at a Time.
Except much bulkier.
Yeah.
Naschy actually was a bodybuilder at one time, so you were right. He
used to work out, and then he just stopped working out, but kept eating like he used to work out, and then... Yeah, so he's big and... Yeah.
Thick. We'll call him thick.
Sure. Is he dead?
He is dead, sadly.
We'll call him fat. Okay.
Yeah, Naschy died, actually was born in 1934 and died in 2009. Born in Madrid, Spain, and passed away in Madrid, Spain, yes.
Traveled a lot, I see. All right, so let's just get to this.
All right.
It opens up. Why am I doing this? I don't know. It opens up. I mean, literally just opens up with a call from outer space, and there's no explanation. You've got a guy that has lines in his jaws that would make Peter Cushing jealous.
Are you talking about the main antagonist?
I'm talking about the tall dude with what looks like to be etched lines in his jaw.
That would be Dr. Otto Warnoff, played by, if you're a fan of sci-fi films, you will know who this is, Michael Rennie, who was the star of the film The Day the Earth Stood Still, starring the giant, not so giant, but bigger than him robot Gort. Anybody remember that film?
I remember
he was
Gort.
the alien, and Gort was his henchman, if you will.
Okay, how the mighty have fallen.
Yes. So
one of the biggest sci-fi movies of all time. Internationally famous. What's that? Do a film that 5 people are going to see 60 years from now, and be bitter about it? How much does it pay? A taco? Okay.
Right, so, I mean, it was not quite on the same caliber as Day the Earth Stood Still. From 1951, this was from 1970s, so you're looking at, almost 20 years difference there. He's a little more aged, but still, his acting chops were still intact. Don't you think?
No!
Maybe I'm mistaken. Let's hear your
acting chops?
His acting chops.
His acting chops were to stand very tall, walk rigidly, recite ridiculous lines, if you in fact recited it. I don't even know. These people would just be going, because the whole thing was dubbed. You didn't even know what was going on.
That's true, we did, yeah.
And so he just walks around and stares into the camera menacingly upon occasion and flexes his massive jaw lines, which it looks like someone's taken an X-Acto knife and just carved scars. I mean, it's one of those, I've got the sunken jawline thing so much. Like, Grand Moff Tarkin from Star Wars original...
I can see that.
...could not pull off this look. It's like he had them sewn together inside his mouth for the effect. Deep crevasses is what they would be referred to as.
So not a Michael Rennie fan, I would say.
Well, I don't know if I'm a fan of his or not. I'm just looking at this movie and don't think that he did very much to add anything to it other than be tall and kind of weird looking.
So he should probably exclude this from his body of work if he were still alive. If he were still alive.
Is he still alive?
You know what? I didn't even bother to check. I'm assuming he looked old in this film, so I'm assuming.
If he's still alive now, someone call Guinness.
Yeah.
Not the World Book of Records, but the beer, because he needs to drink after doing this movie. But go ahead.
Oh, you were actually explaining the plot, but
yeah.
I know you phased out there.
Oh, jeez. All right, so a call from outer space and very ham-fistedly explaining that this person was dead, they're going to reincarnate them and into this other... Then they got to conquer the Earth, and they go to a circus. I don't know why they're going to a circus.
Why did they go to a circus? Well, that's where the remains of Count Janos de Mielhoff were being kept as a sideshow attraction. He's got this skeleton pinned to this board with a stake through its heart, and people are going to pay money to see this. Although,
okay, hold on. All right, so they're displaying this ostensibly for money.
Right.
But they've got it outside of the tent.
Right.
In front of everybody.
That is a good point.
And they haven't paid money to see it.
That's true.
Someone needs to seriously reconsider their business model.
Yeah, because they're kind of giving away the goods at that point. He's just sitting out there in broad daylight,
Right.
you know.
There was also like the fortune reading part of it, I think.
Which I didn't quite see the connection there, did you?
Well, only people who are descended from the vampires. He's a trained nurse.
Why was he descended from the vampires? Did they really explain how that was even a thing?
Why are you assuming he would be telling the truth? He's a carny.
Oh, I forgot. What am I saying? I've been to carnivals. I know. Well, that's not. We don't want to offend any carnies. I mean, there are a lot of upstanding carnies and carny folk out there. I'm sure.
No, if there are, they can't afford a TV. Computer. And between their cigarettes and meth habit, I mean, puts a child on something these people built. Yeah, sure.
I know it can be horrifying to go to these things. You're right. I'm not.
So
I can't really dispute what you're saying.
Italian.
You've stymied me.
Italian stereotype Joe is hawking the wares of this skeleton,
right?
And then once his fortune was going to do fortunes later, it's not really explained and Grand Tarf Markin. Well, no,
Moff Tarkin.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah,
you got distracted by the awesomeness of the film.
Yeah. Peter Cushing ripoff, tall dude. Yeah, Jawscar.
We'll call him.
Yeah, he sends one of the reincarnated women he's done to seduce him. And oh, what passion! Because
he did actually reanimate 2 corpses, correct? That would be Maleva Kirstein, which is, I'm assuming, a doctor. Were they both doctors? I know for sure the guy was a doctor. Dr. Kyrian, played by veteran actor Angel Di Pozzo.
Sure.
Yeah. He was a doctor. And then for some reason this lady, they reanimated her as well to be lab hands or assistants or to help with these experiments. So
if you say so.
So we're just going to assume they're both doctors.
So she seduces this guy, and by seduce I mean lays there with all the passion of a mannequin.
You're right. That was
while this guy does some of the clumsiest kissing and simulated love I've ever seen. And I've been married for 20 years. It's just a horrible.
Lord.
I mean, I have to edit that one out.
You might have to.
Actually, no, she won't listen to this.
Oh, so you're safe. You're perfectly fine. Yeah. You are perfectly fine. Well, the female corpse. You're a bad man, sir.
No, I'm not Batman.
No. As we said, the 2 corpses were reanimated.
But they just show up. They don't show anything. They just sort of are there. They explain this person was dead in the war. This person was dead in a car accident.
Yeah.
And now they're there.
And then all of a sudden they're there, reanimated. And he puts them to, I guess you would say, good use. Karen Dorr is the actress that plays Maleva Kirstein, or Stein, however you want to pronounce it. And you may know her from the film You Only Live Twice from 1967, the James Bond.
Her name was Patty Shepard.
Patty Shepard actually plays Ilsa, the one the detective falls in love with. Mm. Yeah. But it's easy to get all these colorful characters mixed up because...
sure, there you go. I had no idea. I'm just trying to survive these things.
Yeah, they're quite the roller coaster ride, if you will. Boom, boom. Since there was a carnival and thing, and you get what I did there with the carnival.
No, I don't.
You know,
hand gestures aren't going to help the people listen to this on YouTube either, dude.
I was merely making a joke, a carny joke.
Please don't.
So anyway, that was
your carny joke had all the quality of a carny ride.
So it was
carny food.
So it was derailed at the last minute. Yeah. See, I did it again. All right. Anyway,
so that was Pain Green Peppers, folks. It's the last episode.
Thank you for tuning in.
But I'm just gonna let him ramble on by himself. Insert your own cranky, witty partay in yourself, folks. We'll just pause for you to
insert laugh track here, please.
Insert something. Insert a bolt into my brain. Insert some Jack Daniels into my mouth. I don't know, something to ease the hurt.
You mentioned Patty Shepard, Ilsa, who shows up later in the film.
Sure, if you say so. Let's just not jump. Let's not jump.
Okay.
The during the
Oh yeah, you're still explaining
passionate
the plot.
lovemaking.
That's right.
The guy
Passion.
takes the steak out of the skeleton and plunges it into the back of Italian Joe.
Now, who actually stabbed him? Because all I saw was a hand. Was it Michael Rennie, or was it the other guy?
I'm gonna know.
They really didn't.
If all you show is a hand, I'm like, oh look, I didn't recognize that manicure anywhere. How am I supposed to know?
You're pretty sharp. I watch these things.
Not
and
as
I
sharp
like
as
to
that steak.
boom, boom, cha, God. Now we do need a laugh
he
track.
falls off.
We're sinking fast.
He falls off the woman, and she just stares at him.
He falls off.
So he's got a big rubber stake in his back with some red gelatin around it to simulate blood.
And there was some periodic cuts to a black cat watching them. Do you remember that? I didn't really.
Perverted.
Yeah,
there's a lot of perverted animals in this movie.
The gelatin you mentioned.
Yeah, coming.
That's a reoccurring theme in the film, which was never
blood.
really explained, right?
That's just bad blood effects.
Oh.
So, and then...
Well, no, I mean when they're looking at...
Well, yeah, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. The
assistant comes in, screams, someone grabs her mouth and shuts her up. I don't know who.
There's a lot of mystery in this.
If it was only that easy for all women, you know, just, yeah, shut up. Anyway.
We're going to get a lot of hate mail for this episode, you know that.
Like I care.
Okay. All 6 viewers are going to pile you up.
Like, seriously...
Or listeners, I guess.
There's literally nobody out there who could say worse things to me than my clients do. And if I don't care about them, why should I care?
All right, you have a point there. You have a point there.
I've been
so
married 20 years.
Callous over the years.
And then they bring back the kidnapped assistant, who is also a certified nurse, according to Italian Joe. They torture her. I don't know if she turns into... I get confused.
It was easy to get confused in some of these scenarios.
Yeah, and then, well, here's the part. Once you're taking the steak out of the skeleton, it started regenerating, and some of the most spectacular effects this side of Avatar.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
Yeah, there's a Three Stooges level cut. Like, oh, it's a skeleton, where there's sort of shifts. And then the same skeleton, supposedly the same frame, but you know how things shift if you turn off the camera. Right. There's guts.
There's guts inside the bone.
And then shift. Yes. And there's eyes. There's no flesh. And there's no muscle. There's no tendons or anything holding the skeleton together. It's just all of a sudden guts. And they're conveniently just holding it instead of spilling out. Like, oh, let's just take a pile of guts and put them in a skeleton. Standing upright. Gravity means nothing. Exactly. Guts aren't going to spill out a la Braveheart. Freedom! No, it's just stuff. No, it's just going to hang there. And then eyes with no eyelids just sort of staring at you.
Just eyeballs, yeah.
Just eyeballs. And then the things happened. There was a word. You go. I've given up.
Okay, well, on that note... You're right. The skeleton sort of reanimates, and then he's got one of. I guess that would be his first monster henchman that he conjures up.
I was never really sure. Did they know it was going to happen that way? Did they realize that taking the steak out of the heart would take the skeleton to? Because they never really explained that they were after the Dracula.
That's true. That just sort of happened. I think that was just sort of a bonus for them. I think they really just went to the carnival to murder somebody, and then that happened. Oh, cool! And would take this monster with us as well.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Not really quite sure. But anyway, after this all happens, we cut to the library, where for some reason the detective has some idea about this book of monsters that he's searching for, and conveniently the library
was much later.
Well, it was a little bit later.
No, because you had the whole. Introduction with the trying to figure out what the red stuff on this.
There you go.
And they keep talking about.
We're back to that.
They're taking it off his clothes. The dude was naked and it was in his back.
Yeah.
Unless you took that steak off and wiped it on his pants, which were in the floor next to the bed.
And you're talking about the mysterious, unidentifiable substance, correct?
Every test known as science on it, and it's unidentifiable.
And when you look at the close-up shot through the microscope, it's just some sort of white bubbles on red.
It looks like hydrogen peroxide.
Which I'm sure that's probably what it was.
Or Alka-Seltzer.
And this is mentioned multiple times throughout the film.
It's always on his clothes. The dude did not have clothes.
Yeah, and it's never really explained what it is.
He just had a stake sticking out of his hairy back.
Yeah. So that was thrown in there for some reason. I'm assuming that there was probably an exclamation. I'm saying it wrong. Explanation. Excuse me, I need more coffee. Anyway, written into the original script.
Or more booze.
Much like the Golem and the UFOs were actually supposed to appear in the original film, but due to budget restraints, had to be chopped from the screenplay, so it didn't.
Yeah, another masterpiece suffering from the lack of a budget.
Well, we could have had an extra
Deadpool or the whatever movie you made me watch last time, Fishman.
Zat.
Yeah, sure.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch our Zat episode.
Don't do it.
You won't
listen to the
sorry.
episode. Don't watch the movie. No.
Well, after they hear the review, they'll want to watch the movie.
Only if they're suicidal.
Well, there's a lot, maybe.
So, okay, then they catch a werewolf. How do they catch the werewolf?
They actually break into the grave where he is sealed up.
Even though he's been dead for a long time, he's still just doing fine. And then they remove this from some stock footage of a surgery.
Heart surgery, open heart surgery. Yes,
they pull out something of what's supposed to be a bullet, and then the guy comes back to life because he'll only be dead so long as the bullet's in his heart. Again, the physics of this is astounding.
Well, essentially, he was in a state of, what would you say? Just like he was just he wasn't decaying because he still had the curse. So the bullet basically
put him in stasis.
Stasis. That's the word I was searching for. Thank you. And anyway, they remove it. He wakes back up. Beautiful as ever.
Right.
No blemishes, nothing.
Wakes up and is like, where's my mop bucket? Old lady Stein up in 332 needs a pipe change.
I can see where you're getting the janitor vibe. I think it's the gray button up the front shirt, perhaps.
No, because he had the white T-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
The white T-shirt. And the super tight pants because it was the late 60s, and the comb over, and the I just shaved 5 minutes ago, but my hair is growing back already. Look,
right,
yeah, and strangely enough, hairier before they placed the makeup on him to become the werewolf.
Which the makeup? What did you think of the werewolf makeup in this film?
I did a better job of it myself in 4th grade.
I would probably agree. Not the best Nashy werewolf job I've seen.
Well, okay.
There's some good ones. There's some lousy.
I'm being a little okay. It's just sort of the traditional wolf man, where it's just sort of a hairy face and some bad fangs.
Yeah.
But they didn't even bother to sort of fix the nose in a wolfish sort of thing.
Same nose.
But again, I mean, it's obviously they're going for the universal Lon Chaney Jr. look.
Absolutely.
But with not enough budget to go to the Halloween shop the day after Halloween and buy the cheap werewolf makeup kit at half price.
Right.
You gotta get to the day after, because you go 2 days after, it's all gone.
Right. You gotta hurry. You gotta be steadfast in your pursuit for something like that.
Right.
You know.
And so, they weren't able to do that very well. But it wasn't great.
You didn't hate it, but it could have been better.
No, I hated it.
Oh, you did? You were being nice.
No, I hate everything about this.
Well, that's true.
This is the less hatred. My hatred doesn't burn as bright for the makeup as it does on other things. But so there's the werewolf. They caught the werewolf, and then what?
He actually is chained to a wall.
Oh, that's right. So they chain him, because obviously the smart thing to do if you're dealing with a monster that transforms at a full moon is to bring him back to life, apparently at the full moon.
Right, bad timing.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I don't know how many full moons they have in a week, this particular place.
More than one, obviously.
I'm thinking like 26, because okay, you get 3 nights of a full moon. That's like, it's just really... Technically, it's only one, but I'll let you have 3. But there's like 4 weeks of full moons, and everybody's disappearing. Anyway, he's changed the wall and turns into the werewolf and pulls the chains out. Now, doesn't pull the cuffs off.
Correct. That's correct.
And the mighty struggle is shown because, again, it has some of that red jelly ketchup blood thing underneath his manacle to show how hard he's struggling. But then you see him walking down the street, do-a-diddy-diddy-dum-diddy-doo. And he doesn't have the chains or manacles. Now, I understand the rotting dungeon in a monastery. Now, let's just sidetrack. All this is supposed to take place in a monastery that has
I forgot about that.
Has more torture dungeons and jail cells than the Tower of London. What the hell kind of monks were these people? These are not the kind of monks that I know. The most monks that I know are, sort of jolly and maybe brew a beer and sing some songs. These guys were
They're not torturing
stuff.
People in the basement. Yeah, I know.
There was some weird stuff. I don't know.
It was weird. Yeah, they did have a lot of that.
Yeah, okay, but anyway, so I can understand him breaking the chain out of the rotting mortar.
Sure. That could happen.
But apparently he got with George Clooney from Oh Brother Where Art Thou and found a metallurgist or otherwise smithy or otherwise trained in the metallurgical arts and able to get that shackle off of him before he went.
That's probably the first thing he did. Yeah,
I
can't kill people with these shackles on there getting in the way.
Right.
And speaking of attacks, one of our other characters, as I said, Ilsa, played by Patty Shepard, who also starred in the film Slugs in 1988, and was in another Nashi werewolf film known as The Werewolf versus the Vampire Woman.
And we're just going to refer to her as Agent 99 for her.
I think that's appropriate.
Her resemblance to Barbara Feldon from the Get
There
Smart.
was a resemblance, I agree.
Very strong resemblance. So I'm like, okay.
And she's quick thinking, so that fits even more so. Whereas the werewolf tries to attack her while she sits peacefully in a car.
Yeah, after a date that she didn't want ruined by someone trying to kiss her.
Which is
I left my shawl in there. Oh, okay. And and so the werewolf reaches through the window of this car. And she rolls up the window.
And protects herself from the werewolf by doing so.
And again, this is a hand crank thing.
Right, it's not an automatic.
How hard was he trying to kill her if she's got time enough to roll up the window?
Yeah.
And for him to react, after I'm going to pull my arm out of it instead of just pushing through and breaking glass and slashing the throat. And pulls his arm back because, oh, no goodness, window's coming up. Got the speed of smell. And so he gets up and then she swings over to the driver's seat and steals this guy's car.
Yeah.
Leaves him to die because he went back in to get her shawl.
Right. They never really explain what happened to that guy.
No,
he's never to be heard from again. Probably laying in an alley wrapped up in a shawl somewhere.
Well, at least he didn't ruin it. So then the werewolf, frustrated, goes to find another victim and finds, because you can only put this together later on, this was a go-go dancer after the club had closed, but it looks really more like a streetwalker waiting for a John to drive by.
I thought it was a lady of the night, if you will.
And meanwhile, there are like 3 pieces of music for this entire movie.
You like that score, didn't
always the same. It doesn't matter
groovy,
it doesn't matter if they're climbing up on the monastery / Inquisitor dungeon. Doesn't matter if they're going to the club, to the bar, the Golden Egg. What was that?
Yeah, I don't know. That was an interesting name.
Just all these different things. The library, whatever's happening, it's all the same 1960s groove. And if there's some dialogue, there's like this weird noise in the background, but it's all the same. There's zero difference in any of the score.
True.
So I'm really thinking this man made no money writing the music, or they just stole it from an Italian band somewhere because, again, copyrights mean nothing to these people. So anyway, he kills the hooker / go-go dancer, whatever, with his hands, but then when it stands up, there's blood on his upper lip, even though he didn't do anything with his face.
Right, that's true. Maybe it was splatter, perhaps.
Sure.
As he slides through the jugular, perhaps it,
Right,
one of
because
those kind
what
of
it looks like on the body is someone took a little squeeze bottle of Heinz ketchup and took a little line. Yeah, that's what it looks like.
It looks more like a Brooks ketchup to me, but I'll give it to you.
I have no idea what it's. I'm going with what people would know.
Heinz is more expensive. They were on a budget, though.
What's Brooks ketchup? What's that?
It's another brand of ketchup. It's a bit more tangy. Brooks.
No.
Anyway, where were we? Yes, the werewolf.
Where were we? I was in the middle of hell. That's where I was watching this movie. Trying to think, what I can do to take some time off of my purgatory.
Right. Well, something this movie wasn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, even though I really did enjoy it. But there's a few loopholes. For instance, there's this blonde girl that was recruited. Remember, she worked in the carnival, and they ended up abducting her after
was
the guy
that her? Okay.
Yeah, she was working in the lab now, sort of under their control. And she's supposed to be watching the werewolf, so she gets punished for him escaping. Right. Because there's this serum they've developed that they inject him so he doesn't just change into the werewolf so they can control him. She's supposed to be keeping him sedated or whatever it is. Well, he escaped, as Shane said a moment ago, and she's being punished for this.
Sure.
In this brutal fashion, they strap her to this
and they play dubstep. They play dubstep in earphones.
They do, and shine light in her face.
Yeah. That honestly, that would torture me.
Yeah.
The dubstep.
The dubstep alone would be... The music, or the dubstep, the music, the sound, the torture sound, I understood. The little light thing that basically is something you would use at a rock show or
hypnotizer.
Yeah, I guess it was. It was fine, I guess.
Sure.
It was one of those 60s, lots of lights, and we can't afford anything else. Yeah. But anyway, it seemed to do the trick.
Yeah.
High-pitched noise, flashing lights to punish this girl.
Skrillex dropping the bass.
And then something interesting happens.
Did it? Because I must have gotten up and gone to the bathroom while that happened.
We cut to a scene soon after that where Ilsa, the Patty Shepard's character Ilsa, is upstairs.
Agent 99.
In her house. Agent 99. Just got out of the shower, has a towel around her. Someone knocks on the door. Well, she runs downstairs in a towel, unlocks it, and just says, "Come on in." And it's this detective, right?
The detective. Now, let's get one thing about the detective who is the only person who thinks maybe something weird's going on, which there's always that guy.
Okay, there's always one.
But the interesting thing about this guy is his eyes. Mm-hmm. It almost looked like he had like Marilyn Manson contacts. The paleness of this person's eyes.
He had really pale eyes.
It was if it were just slightly more green, it would have been. I kept thinking that he's going to turn into the Hulk any second. Lou Ferrigno would have burst through at any second. But, I've never seen a human being that have this pale of an eye. It was very strange. And so, he just kind of stands there looking at her towel, and she's like, "Oh, just wait there." And then she comes back with a bathrobe on, which covered so much more than like this 68 square yard towel she was wrapped around.
Right.
And then they sit down and smoke and talk.
There's a lot of that in this film, too. A lot of smoking. I don't know.
And no wonder everyone's dead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Assignment Terror, brought to you by Marlboro.
Right, exactly.
And Krusty Dave's Funeral Home. I'm not sure.
So we actually find out that Inspector Toberman, played by Craig Hill, the pale-eyed fellow Shane was describing, actually knows Ilsa.
Yeah,
from high school, wasn't it?
Yeah, he was 3 years older, and she was skinny and had freckles. Now, here's the thing: freckles don't fade. Now, I can get her growing up and growing older and filling out as a woman. Okay, fine. She's a dark-haired woman with no freckles. She is not some little Irish sprite running around. I used to have freckles. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
If you had freckles and you don't have freckles now, so you either drew them on back then, or you peeled 17 layers of skin off now. I'm not sure which. Freckles don't fade. Anyway.
Yeah, I was taken aback by that, too. She looked like she would have never had.
So Agent 99 is sitting around smoking and saying, "My father knew a werewolf."
Right, which is a key element in this film as far as, piecing these things together. As far as
that's an intricate plot.
Her father actually knew Waldemar Daninsky, from several years back before he was gunned down. And
you mean 2 years ago in the last movie?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
If you want to get technical, yes. If you want to get technical, yes. So her father actually knew a werewolf, as they say.
Well, no. Well, okay. Before they do this, here's the thing, and one of the things that irritated me when this guy was talking to the detective was talking to his boss, pipe smoker.
Right.
Well, pipe holder. I think he puffed on it and the smoke came out of it once. The entire movie, he just walked around with
those
pipe.
novelty pipes.
I mean, so,
Popeye.
Either smoker bubbles, something, pal. So anyway, they sit around talking at this guy's house, with his wife, and then talking about a werewolf or something. And she's like, "I remember something. My grandmother told me. What was it? Was there another name for it? Lycanthropy? That's it."
Yes.
Oh, really? Because, my grandma, in between baking me cookies and frying Spam, used to sit around and talk to me about lycanthropy constantly. My grandmother talked to me about lycanthropy. Oh, really? How about porphyria, the vampire disease? What kind of person was your grandmother? Was some sort of obsessive person with mental disorders? Is she a doctor?
Just eccentric.
Except lycanthropy. Yeah, a lot of people know the word lycanthropy in the little Romanian village this woman grew up in. Oh, this lycanthropy. No! God, this village this person grew up in, probably the only difference between the hairy person who's biting people and the hairy people who aren't biting people are the person who's biting. This is actually the action of biting. But there we go.
You have a point there.
And then of course, being the chauvinist, misogynistic pig, pipe smoker Bill gets up and is going to play a record, so he shuts his wife up.
Yeah, he does, because they're actually discussing this serious matter of these monsters and these myths of the monsters and what have you. And they're actually starting to make some headway. And he turns on the music and he says, "Listen." He commands them to listen, and he starts flailing his arms to the music, dancing.
He's conducting. He's conducting.
That is what he's doing. And then the scene ends right after that. And I'm like, that is very peculiar.
As I wish the movie had. Where's the little theme at the end of that scene? That's
right.
God, please help me.
So, goodness. Okay. Anyway, where are we at?
There's a mummy. There's a Frankenstein.
They go to retrieve the mummy Tautet.
Yeah, with the golden mirror.
The golden mirror.
And the guy can somehow transfer his thoughts from across the world watching from a video that has no camera.
Yeah, he has cameras everywhere, this guy. I noticed that.
At every conceivable angle.
Yeah, right.
Coincidentally, it's the same angle as what you're watching. It just goes from the scene to, like, all of a sudden a smaller part of that. The scene is smaller in a video scope. Yeah, look, this is okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought this dude has the whole planet bugged and cameras everywhere.
He's the NSA.
So by shining a light through this giant... Remember, they actually enter the tomb. There's some guys sleeping, remember this? There's some, I guess they're guards guarding this tomb of the mummy, and they're just kind of curled up in the corner sleeping. I guess that's guarding with your eyes shut. I don't know. Anyway, but they waltz past him. He's harmless, whatever. And then they shine a flashlight or something through this giant ankh, right? Am I right? And
no, it wasn't giant.
Well, not giant.
It was a hand.
Well, no, I mean when they first enter, there's a big one. They shine it on the wall, and then when they get there, they use the hand mirror to actually open the casket or sarcophagus or
and then
I don't know. There was a lot of
then a very gray-faced Asian Peter Lorre sits up out of that.
Yeah, the weirdest looking mummy. Well, I shouldn't say that, but. He was a very weird,
very strange
choice
mummy.
to play the mummy.
Yeah, I don't know, and he just kind of walks out. Okay, no big deal.
He was just a skinny gray old man.
They get the frankincense monster. What is it again?
Frankincense. No, it was the frankincense and myrrh. No, it was a Feranxalon. Yeah, Feranxalon's monster.
So the frankincense monster. His power is electricity,
right?
And that's going to come into to my rage a little later on. They're going to go get him. His power is electricity. They bring him back, and the guy playing him never opens his eyes.
No, these just little slits, barely.
And it's really a sad state of affairs when the makeup for this frankincense monster makes you pine for the days of Peter Boyle in Young Frankenstein.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Because this makeup was woo.
I don't know if it was intentional, but you can see the cap this guy is wearing. And I don't know if it's the intentional, like, oh, this is a big scar, or it's like, okay, we don't have enough money to blend.
Yeah, it was not good. And when you would look at him from a side angle even, he didn't have the big giant brow or anything. It was just like, I don't know what, it was just very disappointing.
Yeah.
I think most of the effect was, like you said, he just didn't open his eyes.
Yeah.
That was the creepiness.
Dracula tries to molest the girl scientist, reincarnated thing. He's interrupted and scurries away like a 8-year-old boy.
Caught by his mammy, yeah.
Yeah, and scurries back upstairs. Now, what in the world kind of bedroom this woman has where, she's sleeping in a bed, but the bed is in the middle of a giant chamber which has like 17 entrances, including one from upstairs. Like, where's the privacy? What?
Yeah, that was
she has to pass gas. I don't know.
It was not a private sleeping quarters.
She wakes up from the other guy, the other scientist, and he saves her from the Dracula, who's so terrified. I mean, how is he scary? You just look at him and he runs away.
Yeah, he wasn't a real intimidating force.
I've had chihuahuas attack me better than that.
Yeah, this kind of blue. How would you describe the color of his skin? Kind of a bluish,
it's very gray.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they cast this dude because he has a strange color green eye.
Probably. Yeah.
And then
you're hired. Your eyes are awesome.
Your eyes are weird, and you don't mind holding like what essentially look like 2 white Tic Tacs in your upper lip.
Yeah. Terrible teeth. The teeth were not good.
And then the werewolf falls in love with the kidnapped girl. The girl helps him escape. The reincarnated corpse girl lets them go. Emotionless weakness.
Do you remember what the werewolf asked? One of his few lines in the movie, he said, "Why are you helping me?" or something to that effect. And do you remember what her response was?
I'm a woman.
Exactly. I knew you would
really?
Get it. I'm a woman.
Don't you try to fist bump me over that crap.
Well, I'm just
my hand has been soiled.
Yeah, but you nailed the quote. You nailed the quote. Because I'm a woman. I don't know.
I'm a woman with woman's instinct, and
yes.
That's a fantastic portrayal. Wasn't this in the height of women's lib?
Or so, maybe it was. Yes, I don't.
Either way,
I don't know, but it was a very memorable line.
It was something.
It was.
So they escape and then walk away 5 feet, and they're sitting there in the ruins of an old church, and like, there's no future. There's no future. What? Well, why are you talking like this? Why not try to make the most? They go back to this guy's house. I don't know why they're going back to the monastery / torture dungeon. Yeah. At some point, the Agent 99's father's a judge. He's really just wanting his daughter to be brought back. She was kidnapped. It's just kind of gets into a blur.
It gets a little convoluted.
When a person keeps stabbing you in the liver with a fork, you kind of count on which stab was happening, because this is kind of what this movie was like for me, being stabbed in the liver with a fork.
It's kind of like that. I mean, except for me in a pleasurable way.
Again, you need to be wearing leather and having a riding crop and some sort of gimp mask. Do we even have a safe word? Do I need a safe word? Banana! Is that it?
Banana, sure, why? That's the safe word is banana.
No, it's not password. The safe word is banana. No! This is a very strange...
B-A-N-A-N-A.
This is a very strange game show you were writing there, pal.
Would you like to play a game?
No, not with you.
All right. The detective, he ends up infiltrating, I guess you would say infiltrating the monastery. He pretty much just drives in.
By walking in, you mean?
Yeah, they open the gate and they let him, come right in to have a heart-to-heart with this mad doctor alien from the planet Umo.
Right.
Which I don't know if we've mentioned that yet.
He's working on his little projects, yelling out scientific-sounding stuff
for
no apparent reason whatsoever. but then is addressing the detective on closed circuit TV.
You caught that, yeah.
But it's not talking to the detective.
Right.
While he's working. It's like there's a separate artificial intelligence using his face.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm very busy. No, he couldn't because all he can see is a face on the TV screen. And then Peter Cushing's like, oh, here, we're from a different planet, and we're here to destroy humanity, and we're going to use monsters to do it, and here's my social security number, and my kindergarten teacher, and I used to let he tells him everything.
He pretty much does. He explains it.
But why is he telling him this, Pat?
Why is he telling him
What's
this?
the line?
Oh, I don't know. What is the line?
Because I know your future.
Oh, okay. See,
dear God.
See, I don't deserve a fist bump on that, even though I'm a huge fan of this film. Because
you need a fist bump. That's upside your head. Right on the temple. Temple region is what I'm thinking.
Now, do you think the whole thing with him doing the lab experiment, while clearly seeing his same face on the screen talking to the detective, you think that was just something they screwed up, or they did that intentionally, as if to say he is able to do two things at once?
I'm not sure they did anything intentionally in this film.
Yeah. Because
I was thinking they just didn't think about it.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Maybe it just happened and they just
and the most I can think that it's a pre-recorded message.
Okay.
Because he knows his future.
Because he knows, okay, yeah.
I don't know. And then
it's kind of like the Flash. He's been to the future and he came back to do his thing.
If you say so, I've stopped watching.
But you know the capabilities.
Sure. No, the Flash doesn't wear a cape. Anyway.
So he does. He does tell the detective.
Slow him down. I'm trying to change the subject of this movie. So what'd you get for Christmas last year?
Right. Yeah. Anything but this film. He basically explains all this to the detective, and then he tells him, now, since you've interfered, essentially, you're going to be chained up in our little dungeon area, which is full of bats. And whenever you basically, I don't know what he mean, calm down enough, the bats will fly down.
When the bats wake up, they're going to sense there's helplessness.
That's what it was.
Meanwhile, the frankincense monster was the one that took him down there and chained him up.
Right.
The monster that moves with all the speed of a cat that's lost feeling the back two legs and is having a stroke. This you can walk fast and get away from this monster.
Yeah.
Plus again, eyes closed. So he takes him down there and chains him up, and they don't even show it; it just sort of happens.
And there's actually an editing flaw there, I guess.
No, it's the I know your future where they show him chained up.
Okay.
That's
I can live with it. I like that better because it makes the movie better.
No,
it's not a mistake. It was intentional.
No, sure.
So
the whole thing is the bats when they wake up.
This is the best part.
The bats
part
are covered
rocks
with cobwebs.
I love this part.
The bats are covered with cobwebs, so apparently they've been asleep for like 68 years.
They're tired.
Sure. And then they've eaten all the skeletons around. The skeletons on the floor. And then there's the diatribe of explanation that when the bats wake up, when they realize he's helpless, they're going to float down, and they're going to eat your eyes until there's nothing.
I love that.
Bloody sockets.
That is perfect. That
would explain the skeletons around how. And if I'm recalling correctly, my studies.
Your in-depth studies.
Not a lot of bats that just fly around eating eyeballs. There are vampire bats which will float down and lick a little bit of your blood after they've bit you. There's fish-eating bats and bug-eating bats and frog-eating bats and fruit-eating bats. Not a whole lot of eyeball-eating bats that I'm aware of. And again, to give you an idea of the effects, and I'm using that term loosely. If you remember the time on Gilligan's Island when there was a giant bat,
great show, yes,
that looked like some Oscar-winning effects compared to these weren't even bat shapes being bounced on elastic strings. I'm not even sure what they were, just some sort of black cloth, and they would slap this guy across the face with it, and he would blink. I don't understand, he's just sort of blinking, and he keeps slapping him with his black cloth, and that's supposed to be terrifying his eyes. I don't know.
It was brilliant.
Oh, it's something.
Oh my goodness. So then what happens? We have our hero, or I guess technically he becomes the hero, the werewolf. And his
Schneider.
Girl sidekick.
Schneider
The werewolf.
Schneider the janitor.
And his gal pal.
And it comes back, and she is now changed into a tube top. Or a half shirt.
Yeah.
And she's...
It's hot in there.
And for some reason, even though she's not the main character, she's barely in this movie at all, she's front and center on the poster.
You're right.
In her little tied-up half shirt. The other girl who was the main protagonist, antagonist, not even on the poster.
That's true.
And then Agent 99's not on the poster. You just have some really bad renditions of the Universal monsters. The painting of the girl with an impossibly thin waist and weirdly large hips. Is either in the midst of running daintily or in the midst of a go-go dance in this pose. I'm not sure which. She's got one toe down and one toe up.
If you're wondering, we're looking at the poster as we describe it.
And then they got a very green picture of Peter Cushing in the corner there. For no reason.
Peter Cushing, you're killing me.
I wish I was. But... so the werewolf comes back because there's no future.
Yeah, so they come back to, I guess, essentially foil the plans of the aliens.
Sure.
Right? That's what we're left to assume, anyway.
You'll have to assume a lot in this movie. And then Peter Cushing commands them... Oh, God, I've gotten confused on the order of everything here. I know that they come in and... and release Grey Eye.
Right, because Ilsa has actually been kidnapped by the vampire and is hidden somewhere in the castle.
Yeah, that's right. Agent 99's in peril.
And the werewolf changes.
Well, but not before. Not before he pushes his main squeeze ever so slightly.
Right.
At which point she falls over from being hit unconscious from hitting her head ever so gently on a chain.
Yeah, I thought that scene was a little, hard to swallow.
Yeah, let's just narrow down that one scene, shall we?
Yeah. That's the one scene I had a problem.
Then he turns into a werewolf. And of course, werewolves being mindless killing machines. Here's where we go have fun. The mindless killing machine that is a werewolf, for whatever hold on, he just takes off. Then you've got Grey Eye walking around with his shirt half unbuttoned.
Right.
Encounters Dracula.
Right.
And Dracula just sort of gonna get him and attacks him, jumps off of the second floor on top of him. The guy jumps up and takes a stick and breaks it in half, and then Dracula, apparently sensing his impending doom, does nothing to attack, defend, or run the hell away. He just sits there and lets the guy stab him.
Paralyzed with fear.
And that's the entirety of this guy's line.
He was horrified. He knew what was happening. He knew what was coming for him.
For a vampire, he didn't have a whole lot of powers. He scampers away when anyone sees him trying to molest some woman.
He had the power
in shame.
Hypnosis.
Sure. And apparently, if you blink, it breaks the hypnotic spell.
Because that actually was displayed in the scene where he's attacking.
So he blinks because, get dust in your eye, blink. Oh, well, there goes your power.
Thank you for dust.
Yeah. And then he stabs the guy and he's continue to look for Ilsa.
Yep.
Being subtle about it, because you know that you're in a commando base of an alien force. You just run into a vampire. So let's be stealthy and start screaming, Elsa! Elsa! In a giant echoing basement. Elsa! Elsa! Okay. But once the vampire...
He was a man in love, what can I say?
Once the vampire was killed, she wakes up from the spell and screams because she's by an empty coffin. I know that happens to me all the time. I scream when I'm by that empty coffin.
Yes.
And she somehow gets out of the locked cell. It's never explained.
Yeah, that's true.
The mummy.
The mummy scene was pretty good.
Yeah, the mummy comes up, and the mummy has no power. The mummy has nothing except just sort of walk. And so the guy picks up a torch because he instinctively knows all the monster's weaknesses.
Yeah, he's pretty good. Well, he is a detective. He's done his research.
Sure. And he gets sort of thrusting this torch at the mummy, which, he's getting a little close to this guy's face. I mean, there's some genuine terror in this guy.
Yeah.
It's a little close to me.
I was kind of like,
cinder in my eye.
Yeah. So like, step back, dude. This is a movie.
And then the werewolf comes out of nowhere and attacks the mummy because, that's what werewolves do. They attack people in bandages. I don't attacks the mummy, and they shown earlier that the mummy is just a reanimated corpse, and the guy stabbed him in the heart, and nothing happened. So the werewolf attack would really do nothing unless he actually dismembered it.
Right.
If it was just a normal werewolf. Now here's where we get great. He throws this mummy into a giant hamster wheel.
Yes, exactly.
And starts spinning it.
Yeah.
Now, I know that when I'm being attacked by a feral dog or a coyote with rabies or something, it often chases me into a place where I'm trapped and then uses the capability of my entrapment against me. So it starts spinning this thing around like a carnival ride. Again, carny. And
I see the theme continuing.
So he's spinning this around, and the mummy's getting all
disoriented,
the werewolf, the feral beast of a monster, killing machine with no regard for anything else, knows enough to grab a torch, throws it into the giant spinning hamster wheel. It's not really a hamster wheel, but I'm not going to get into what in the world it actually is.
But it essentially looks like a giant hamster wheel.
And then the mummy catches on fire. And then there's one down.
Yes, he...
let's
say burnt alive, but he was already dead. Or burnt to a crisp. He was already crisp. So. Incinerated.
Sure.
Bam!
Yeah, apparently the guy was made out of pine pitch or something because he just burst into flames.
Right.
I mean,
like most things do in these films, they immediately
everything's soaked in Everclear, 180 proof alcohol.
Yeah, they spill a lot of booze in these films. I don't know.
So he goes up in flames. Then they got the Frankenstein is in the lab.
Yes,
and here's where I mentioned before that his power is electricity.
I know where you're going.
Spoiler alert, rant coming up. So the werewolf, again, attacking only the other monsters because it's a mindless killing machine. Attacks the Frankenstein's monster.
Right.
And they're wrestling, and the Frankenstein's monster, because it really has no heart, no anything, is not really getting injured, although its jacket's being torn.
Right.
There's chemicals being spewed. There's stuff being thrown. There's fire. And I'm thinking, okay, fire bad. Let's go for that again. No. Somehow, the werewolf pushes the Frankenstein's monster into an electrical conductor.
Yes.
The electricity that brought him to life kills him.
Right.
Just fries him right there. His power of electricity, it killed him. Why did it kill him?
Okay, that's the second problem I had with this film. Love this film. Second problem I had with it. Maybe the third. I don't know. There's a few. It's not a perfect film. This is not a perfect film, but it is an entertaining
Agent 99 and Grey
Eye
Eye run out of the monastery / torture dungeon of doom. The place is on fire. Peter Cushing and Corpse Girl are trapped in there. They get a message from space. You failed. And there's a subplot line of whether this guy was jealous of this woman's feelings of another person. Oh, God. You go on.
He essentially... the ending theme that we learned from this film. Do you remember kind of what that was?
Oh, dear God. Well, earlier the corpse girl and other corpse guy had made the naked pretzel in a bed in another nigh-on pornographic scene. I mean, God, Skinamax has nothing on this. I'm being insanely facetious. You really need to understand that. The frankincense monster was commanded to go kill the corpse guy by Peter Cushing because he had feelings for Corpse Girl. Corpse Girl at the end, they're trapped. And he had punished her, tried to reprogram her so she'd forget that because he was in love with her because emotions are weakness. And it's so, I mean, I would say confusing, but confusing would mean at some point you could unravel it. And this is not a possibility with this movie. But at the end, you know, Commando 9 from outer space is psychedelically transmitting that you're a failure. And Peter Cushing's like, well, the failure's all mine. Does she need to be punished too? At which point Commando 9 from outer space goes, she doesn't exist. And she just disappears!
She literally fades from the scene.
She just disappears.
Away.
They reanimated a corpse. They reanimated, reconstituted. She was a physical being.
Right.
And Commando 9 from outer space says she doesn't exist. And she, gone! At which point Peter Cushing now becomes distressed. Oh. Then the whole place explodes. And then you get the finishing line. Oh dear God, the finishing line. And no one has any problems with the fact that this monastery, which is, you know, now exploding, there's no anything, you know, just Agent 99 and Gray Eye Guy are outside, and he just looks at the explosion and fire and death and goes something along the lines of, so long as there's someone willing to sacrifice himself, they'll never win.
Actually, very close. I wrote it down because I'm a nerd like that.
Well, go ahead.
While there are men willing to sacrifice themselves for others, nothing will destroy us.
Oh, sure. You know, because that's better.
And let's not forget a quote a few scenes before that where I'm thinking it was the evil scientist guy said something to the effect of, passion is stronger than nuclear weapons. Someone said that. I can't remember exactly.
It was Peter Cushing.
Okay.
Peter Cushing was when he was talking to Commando 9 from outer space.
There we go.
The passion we thought was weakness, really their strength, stronger than nuclear weapons. Which is strange because they refer to them as nuclear weapons.
Yes.
But previous, when they were talking about how they were going to make the frankincense monster strong, is going to be their atomic energy, which is the 1950s term.
Yeah, it's a little different.
Yeah, the atomic energy, now it's nuclear weapons. Make up your mind. Or don't.
So essentially the theme of this film was really to teach us that the power of love will prevail over any evil that is thrown our way.
Or if you love somebody, she'll disappear.
That's the second thing they tried to teach us.
Or if you're a janitor from New Jersey working in the Bronx, then you're going to turn into a werewolf.
The third lesson learned from this film.
Or if you're an Italian guy with a skeleton, don't have sex with a woman who has all the passion of a mannequin.
Because you may end up murdered in cold blood.
Right.
Or hot, well, warm.
There's nothing hot about that scene.
This film...
Or one of the other great parts of this movie is when when Gray-Eye Detective Guy is walking through and the skeleton hand lands on him and it's still attached to the rest of the skeleton. The skeleton is just suspended in midair and it's still attached to...
Right.
Not a lot of magnets in my bones holding it together. It's called sinew and tendons.
That was an attempt at a jump scare, I think, which was somewhat effective.
Well, just plastic skeleton that still has its joints. I mean...
Right. As all
things
skeletons seem
apart. It's not magnetized. When they find a dinosaur skeleton, they're just like, oh, they pull the whole thing out. No, it's dismembered. It's in pieces. It's everywhere.
Right. Once that living tissue degenerates, it's kind of just gonna lay there.
I guess it's still
like a puzzle.
I guess it's still in the realm of that whole. If your gut sac is just hanging in an empty skeleton, it's not gonna spill out.
Right. You just have to give way to those things, just believe they can happen,
This isn't worth the green pepper.
This film is literally a cavalcade, I cannot speak today, cavalcade of life lessons to be learned. Don't you agree? This film is a teaching moment. 90 minutes, I don't even know how long it was, at least 90 minutes, I'm sure.
It's taught me that I'm really regretting my decision to help you with this project. That's what it's taught me.
A teaching moment, a learning moment.
Sure. Can I just have my green pepper and go home?
So, I guess, if you could recap this film in 10 words or less, what would you say? Assignment Terror is, I'll give you that.
A big dog poop sandwich.
Ooh, that was less than 10 words. Very colorful.
It was a very bad late 60s, early 70s multi-European film. And none of them are good, but I don't even think this one lives up to that standard. When you're dealing with Italian, Spanish, what else was it? It's something else.
German. It was a big co-production. Right. Yeah, it was actually.
Yeah, it's just it's the Axis powers made this movie.
Exactly. Spanish, German, Italian co-production.
Yeah,
three directors.
All the fascists.
Tullio Di Michele, Hugo Fregonese, and Eberhard Meissner. Whatever.
Eberhard? His wife hopes so.
Eber. Yeah, that's these people were credited as directing this film.
I'm sure it's because no one spoke any of the same languages. None just had like the German guy telling the German actress what to do, the Italian guy telling the Italian actress what to do.
Right.
The English guy killing himself before he got roped into this. I'm not sure.
He got paid. They all got paid something, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Maybe they got paid
in green peppers.
Yes. All right. Do you want to take us out today, or do you want me to, my friend?
Oh, I'll take myself out as soon as I'm done with this. If you hear it, but make sure you hit the stop button before the gun goes off. Go ahead, take us out.
All right, this has been another exciting edition of the Paid in Green Peppers podcast. If you guys want to check out more Paul Naschy films, there are literally a slew of them. Most of them are probably available on YouTube. Many are available on DVD and Blu-ray, so just do some Googling and sleuthing and find them for yourselves. Have a great day. Enjoy.
And you are?
I am Patrick Hite.
And I am suicidal.